half of a Menuet by Franz Joseph Haydn. Haydn was an Austrian composer, a lifelong resident of Austria. He was actually the court musician for the Esterhazy family that lived on a remote estate. And he was isolated from other composers in this classical period and didn't really get a chance to interact with other musicians until later in his life. He lived to be 77. And you know what he said? He said being isolated like that forced him to become original. And you can really see that in this piece. I can really see it, and I can't wait to show you why this piece is so original. This is a very early teaching piece. I would call it an early intermediate. It's in the key of C, so we have no sharps and flats. It has only 2 long lines, according to this edition that I made. You can get this at sallychristianmusic.com. This is a really outstanding re-engraving of the piece because it shows it is simply these 8 measures and these 8 measures. But it's broken down into 4 and 4. With my protractor, I can come along here, bar lines line up because I had it engraved that way. When we get to the midpoint, right here, that's exactly at the end of the first 4 measures of line 1 and line 2. I put a great big blue box around this for my study purposes and to illustrate for you today that this is absolutely identical material. It's a cadence that ends each time. The difference is not in the notes, but in the fingering. The first time it's 3-2 in the right hand, and the second time it's 1-2. And we'll find out why in just a minute. But that's an important difference. The left hand is identical. Now in the key of C, our tonic is C, the 1, and the G is the dominant. So when we get to that midway point, he's gone to the dominant both times. The overall construction of this and why it's really tricky. This piece is so much alike. The first 4 measures I call the A section. The next 4 is the B section. Going on to the second line, it's just like the B until we get to measure 12, and then it leaps off like this. What's that about? Going off like that, into this remote area. What is it? It's really a D minor triad. For a split second, we hear a minor tonality, but then at that midway point, he jumps right back to the dominant, the G. And then the last 4 measures is an identical repeat of these. So you basically have 3 sections. This first one that sounds like this. Look at that, 5-1. Both on the C. So he's really going back and forth from the C of measure 1, measure 2, the G, measure 3, C, and then he jumps up. There's that A again. Going on. Second section. Coming together. Resting on the C and the E, the third of C. Going away. This is a little tricky, this ending. Now what I love to do, and I highly recommend, is to take the hands alone because they are each very interesting parts. Let's listen to this left hand all by itself. That whole thing led to an octave. Going on, you have to jump up with your 4th finger on the G, down a 6th to E with a 3rd. Notice the slur and a broken ascending C octave. How cool is that? he ends the first 4 measures with a descending broken octave on G, ends the next 4 on an ascending broken C octave. Beautiful. And now with the right hand by itself, isn't that delightful? To me, this is like laughter. Oh, 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 dee. And then it gives us a triplet. How fun. And another triplet going on to the second section. Crossing over. Now this is a simple piece, but there are a lot of technical negotiations to be aware of. Crossing over and opening of the octaves like that. This is a lot of nice things to be learning early on. And finger changes here. So I want to get off the key. You don't want these to get stuck. Nothing sounds worse than to pound out 3 of the same notes all the same. So a little heavier on the first beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then up a 4th. Slur off. And B, C. Simple cadence. Now, I had a really interesting vision in the middle of the night last night. This may surprise you that I actually think of these things constantly, and sometimes I wish I wasn't when I'm sleeping or trying to sleep at night. But I saw this piece as a dance for 2 dancers, and I made a choreography of it with the left hand going up, turning this way, turning that way, and then turning and facing the partner and bowing. It was so beautiful. It made so much sense for me of these lines. Now going on to that second system in the right hand, I want to treat that as the choreography that I saw. That's a G major broken triad going down and crossing over on the F. Here are these same repeated note Fs that we had, nice and light, coming up. So elegant. Hand goes off and then up. This is the most wonderful moment in the piece. Way up to the A and down to the C. So can't you just see the leaping there? There's so much imagination. That's that originality. Let's do that again because this is the different one in the piece. I put a red box around measure 12 here. And the left hand has a long note. So put together the hands, measure 12. Let's do it from the second system. See, they come together, then they go away. Now they really go away. Curtsy to each other, and we wrap up with the final phrase, piano, an identical repeat of this. And if you want, you can add a little ornament at the end. Notice that there are repeats at the end of each line. So this goes back to here, this goes back to here. So it's a lovely, lovely piece teaching you lots of different early concepts of good pianism. And let your imagination run with this. See if you can put your own dance steps into your fingers and into your expression. Thank you.